Thank you for watching the American Numismatic Society's YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like our online resources, publication, and events, you can support the Society by becoming a member. And don't forget to check out our book and eBay stores. The links are below.
Come in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Marlowe. I phoned you.
Oh, yes, Mr. Marlowe. Something about a gold coin, you said.
That's right. The Brasher Doubloon, Mr. Morningstar.
Oh, yes, the Brasher Doubloon. An early American coin. Extremely interesting and valuable.
Yeah? Why?
Because it's rare. And because it has a romantic and violent history.
It has? I hadn't heard.
Yes, first, the man who coined it was murdered and robbed through the treachery of a female. And since then, at least 7 other owners of the coin have come to abrupt, unhappy ends.
Welcome to the A&S series of The Greatest Coins. I'm Dr. Jesse Kraft, A&S Assistant Curator of American Numismatics, and today I will be presenting the 1787 Brasher Doubloon, the first gold coin of the United States. The 1787 Brasher Doubloon represents an interesting era in United States history, after the British colonial period, but before the nation became a federal republic, when the nation was under the Articles of Confederation from 1781 to 1789. This period, however, did not exist in isolation and was a progression from earlier times. So how did this period come to be? Between 1607 and 1749, the British founded 14 colonies on the North American mainland. Each of the colonies were very different in arrangement, complete with distinct geographic, political, and most notably, economic nuances. These range from the economies that depended on the timber of the North, the fish in the sea, and the cash crops of the South. One thing that each of the colonies had in common, however, was their ties to Britain, where the profits were directed towards the mother country in a system known as mercantilism. In 1760, George III became King of Great Britain and Ireland, and under his rule, American colonists began to feel even more exploited than ever, most notably through the Navigation Act of 1763, the Sugar Act of 1764, and the Stamp Act of 1765, among others. By 1775, 13 of the 14 colonies revolted against Britain and declared an independent nation the following year. The revolution lasted a total of 6.5 years, and the former colonies organized as a free and independent country. However, each of the states wanted to keep their individual identities. While first drafted in 1777, the Articles of Confederation allowed for states to remain independent while also a part of a larger entity under a weak central government. The 13 states shared with the American Congress the right to establish a mint and create paper money. The states alone, however, had the right to collect taxes. This reflected a sort of paranoia that each state had with their colonial predecessors. Having rid themselves of a distant power, the last thing they wanted to do was give up their newly found right to coin or print money, nor did they want to pay tribute to a central government. Throughout the late 1780s, only 4 of the states minted coins, to a point where they made any considerable impact on the economy and commerce: Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Vermont, which was actually an independent republic and didn't become a state until 1791. These largely consisted of copper coins that roughly equaled the size and weight of British halfpennies, which also remained in circulation throughout the period and were for the most part struck by independent contractors and not a state-operated mint. The coinage authorized by Congress are the copper coins now known as Fugio cents. A range of other copper pieces also circulated. Most were either privately struck tokens or counterfeits of foreign copper coinage. None of the states issued silver or gold coins, as Spanish, Portuguese, French, and English coins fill the need, albeit rarely to the point that fulfilled commerce. New York State nearly issued a copper coinage. On April 20, 1787, New York State Legislature did pass an act to regulate the circulation of copper coin, which they did at a rate of 3 copper coins per ounce, or 48 coins per pound. This translated to 20 coins per New York shilling, or 240 coppers per New York pound. Several private individuals produced powder coins in an attempt to obtain a contract from the state. In early February of 1787, a pair of New York silversmiths, John Bailey and Ephraim Brasher, submitted a proposal. However, a bill to establish an actual coinage was never presented and therefore never authorized by the state legislature, so neither the Bailey-Brasher proposal nor any of the others were ever chosen. Nothing is known about the production of the Brasher doubloon itself, and none were even known to exist to numismatists until 1838, when Adam Eckfeldt saved one from the melting pots of the United States Mint and added it to the collection. However, based on the weight and fineness, they would have circulated for $16, which is equivalent to a Spanish doubloon. Little is known about the personal life of Ephraim Brasher. He was born in 1744 in New York City, and in November of 1766 married Anne Gilbert, sister of another New York City silversmith, William Gilbert. According to his will, the pair never had any children themselves. It isn't currently known whom Brasher apprenticed under. He lived at 3 Cherry Street, while his business was located at 77 Queen Street, just a few blocks north. There are many pieces of hollowware and silverware produced by Brasher, and also have his famed countermark on them. It is often cited that George Washington was Brasher's neighbor, and some have even suggested that Brasher doubloons were produced to sell to visitors of Washington. While the two were neighbors, this was not until 1789, 2 years after he produced the coin. Early in the American Revolution, Brasher served in the New York Provincial Army as a grenadier and didn't retire from the militia until 1796 as a major. During the evacuation of the British from New York City in 1783, Brasher served on the New York Evacuation Committee. Throughout the 1780s and 1790s, he also served as sanitary commissioner, coroner, assistant justice, election inspector, and commissioner of excise. Relating to coins, he also performed some of the first assays on foreign coinage for the United States Mint in 1792, for which he received a total of $27 in payment. Brasher died in 1810, having lived all of his 66 years in New York City. The A&S specimen is one of only 7 coins known to exist. It was found in 1897 by an unidentified group of laborers while digging a cellar for a building in Philadelphia. The area where the coin was located was known to have been a local dump for earlier generations, so the coin was likely thrown away at one point. The Chapman brothers were able to sell the coin to Allison W. Jackman, who kept it until his death, and the coin was sold in a June 1918 auction along with the rest of the coins in his estate by Henry Chapman. Waldo Newcomer purchased the coin. From there, it went to the famed collection of Colonel E.H.R. Green, then to William Randolph Hearst, the well-known newspaper publisher, businessman, and politician. Hearst wasn't necessarily a coin collector, but collected many types of art and historical objects. The coin then went to Burdett G. Johnson, who had a large collection of colonial and other coins. Johnson died unexpectedly of an aneurysm in 1947, and the coins were split between his 2 heirs. The Brasher doubloon then went to auction and entered the FCC Boyd collection. Through the New Netherlands Coin Company, the coin entered the collection of Mrs. R. Henry Norweb, Emery May, who donated it to the A&S in 1969. The coin weighs 26.3 grams at 91.7% gold, or 22 carats. It has a diameter of 30.7 millimeters and a thickness of 2.24 millimeters, and is in coin turn. All the coins in this video can be found on the A&S website numismatics.org/search in the links below. The historical context, rarity, and the fact that this is the first gold coin of the United States makes the 1787 Brasher doubloon one of the greatest coins.
This lecture has been made available to you courtesy of the American Numismatic Society. Since 1858, the ANS has supported research and education in numismatics and the history of money. With a collection of over 800,000 objects, an extensive library, a dynamic publishing arm, and ever-improving online research resources, we have become one of the largest numismatic institutions in the world. If you wish to support the ANS and the work we do, you can join as a member and become a part of this historic community. Go to numismatics.org/membership to see options and prices.